Hey, I'm Aaron Liao. I run developer evangelism here at DocuSign. I'm here in frosty Seattle with Dewey Wald, who you've met already. And today we're going to start doing some deep dives into things you can do using our DocuSign API and our developer tools. So Dewey, welcome back. Thanks for your time again.
You bet.
We're going to be showing you specifically sending an envelope today using the API and then getting the status of that envelope using webhooks. Dewey, you want to walk us through the scenario?
Yeah, so the scenario I'm going to show today is a credit authorization where there's two signers, a husband and a wife.
Okay.
And we're going to go ahead and get three status events back from DocuSign via a webhook. What we're going to do is add the webhook information into a JSON request and do a REST API request through DocuSign, and then we're going to add the statuses of when the envelope completes, when each signer looks at the envelope, and when each signer is actually sent an email for the envelope. So we'll show all three of those status events, which will actually end up being 5 messages because we have 2 different recipients at 2 different routes.
Okay.
So we'll get each of theirs when they look at the envelope as well as when they are emailed the envelope.
Awesome. Let's do it. That sounds
So
great.
I'll go ahead and you see here in our JSON request that we do indeed have our 2 recipients set up, Jane Signer and Joe Signer. And they're going to be signing this credit document that I have down here as the document of the request. So the key thing here to getting a webhook tied to your envelope is an event notification node inside your JSON that I'm highlighting here. As you see, the big thing is you have to have a URL of where this is going to end up going.
Okay.
You can also do a couple of additional things with this and add logging and require acknowledgement from DocuSign, which what that means is when you go into the DocuSign console, you can see these requests and when they were sent out and get some logging information about them. And if there's any errors, we will retry. That's what the require acknowledgement is about. And then we actually enter at an envelope level. We want to know when this envelope completes. In other words, both signers have signed.
Yep.
And then we want to know at a recipient level when each one of them was sent the envelope and when they actually opened the envelope, which is what we call delivered in the DocuSign world. So we're going to go ahead and take this JSON request and paste it into Postman, and we will go ahead and send out the request as you see it, as you saw it there. So our envelope has been sent, and now let's go over as the signer, the first signer of the envelope, as we're going to go into Mailinator here and take a look at that. So as I open the envelope, before I open the envelope though, let's go over to our webhook and make sure that we did indeed get a post request from DocuSign saying this envelope was sent. I'm going to go over to Postman here and send a request that we were just editing. And once I've sent, you'll see that my envelope has now been sent. And we will go over to our webhook tester and wait for the post to come from DocuSign, and it just takes a few seconds sometimes. And there is our result, and you'll see that we did indeed get a request back from DocuSign saying that this envelope was sent.
Yep.
And DocuSign is posting XML to our endpoint. So we can take a look at that XML by copy and pasting it out into something that's more readable. And you will see that in the request or the response that we got from DocuSign, you will see that the recipient status will be sent for our one recipient and not the other. As you can see it there, whoops. So there you'll see it's sent for our one recipient, but not for our, they both have a node, and you'll see when it was sent to one and the other one has not yet been sent because they're at the next route.
Got it.
So now let's go back over to that recipient and sign the envelope. And as I go into the envelope, we are also looking for when this signer first views the envelope.
Okay.
So we're going to, until they actually hit the continue button here, they will not be considered viewed. So as you see, the signing experience is grayed out at this point. So once they actually go in and start looking at the document, we can go now back to our webhook tester, and we should see another request come in here momentarily that will say that they have viewed the envelope. And there you see our result just popped in. So now we can look at this and you'll see that the status on the XML for this particular request shows that this recipient has been delivered.
Okay.
Where if you look at our other recipient, it still says created.
Right.
So once this signer signs, our next route will get emailed. So we should see that as soon as we sign this envelope. I'm going to go ahead and finish here. And we'll go back over to our webhook controller and we should see another email another email request was sent out, so we should see another post to our webhook. We'll just wait for that and it should be here momentarily. And there's our post from DocuSign saying that the email was sent to our next signer. So let's go over and take a look at that signer and sign. And there's our request in our inbox, so we're going to go ahead and open it. And again, we should see another viewed event once we agree and continue and actually open the document in DocuSign signing. And then if we go back to our webhook tester site, you will see another post come from DocuSign indicating that this recipient is now viewed. And we'll just wait momentarily for that. And there it is. So we got our response back from DocuSign. So now we can look at the status, and you see now the status of the first recipient is completed, but we're not getting that message. We can also get that message, but we see that our second recipient has been delivered. So when this signer finishes the document, we should get our envelope complete event, which is really the one that most people like to get because they want to know when their envelopes are finishing.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and finish the signing, and then we should get our final result here, which is our envelope complete event from DocuSign. And there it is. So now we'll take a look at the final XML that was delivered to us from DocuSign, and you will see that the envelope status is indeed completed. As I can show you right here in the status node of the XML. And there it is, shows completed. And that is how you use webhooks with DocuSign API.
Awesome.
So one of the key things that should be noted here is that this webhook event structure lives with that envelope. So you pass one of these with every envelope. So if you need to retry or if there's any failures on even the webhook end, you can go back into DocuSign and repost it.
Very cool. Very handy. Thanks for showing it to me, Dewey.
You bet.